Hi guys, Lisa here from Shady Tree Stitches, and thank you for joining me for another Stitch and Drive. So today we are heading off to a Shady Trees retreat up in the Blue Mountains. So I will be stitching along and showing you some of the sights to see in the beautiful Blue Mountains. So for today I'm going to be doing a new start, and I will put in a photo at the end of this little snippet, which is the World Postage Stamps by Soda Stitch. So it's a new start. It's not a lot to show you. I'm going to do it on this beautiful piece of fabric which was gifted to me by the ever wonderful Crafty Leanie. She does fantastic fabric dyeing in Australia. So I will put a picture of the chart here and see you in a minute to tell you all about it. Bye. Okay, so here we are. You get to see the glorious sights of the Blue Mountains. And so I'm lucky enough today to have my friend Michelle with me.
Hi.
So that she can't wave at you because it's a bit hard to do that from the steering wheel. And we'll see what we can show you on this journey through the historic Blue Mountains. We're starting off this video in Falconbridge, which is about the 4th or 5th town up the mountain. And our plan is to take you for a drive along this road until we get to Katoomba. And in particular, we'll be able to show you some of the beautiful sights around Katoomba. It's a very old historic place. Look, there's an Ugg boot shop with cowhides on the right. And this main highway's been upgraded recently, so it's not an old country road. But as we're driving along, when I stop talking from time to time, you may actually hear the cicadas. The cicadas are really prevalent up in the mountains this year. I don't know if you can hear them. To many of you, they probably sound a bit like crickets, but they hang out in these trees and they are really, really being noisy. So you get combinations of the really old colonial style architecture mixed with the modern things. The Blue Mountains is actually it's almost like the whole mountain is a heritage listed place. Not exactly, but they are very, very particular about what they let up here. So they don't let a lot of modern things up. They don't have any of the big chain stores. So there's no, basically there's nothing like McDonald's or KFC. The bigger centres do now have like a Woolies or a Coles, but they don't have both. They've been very reluctant to let the big things in. They've tried to maintain the sort of the sleepy culture of the Blue Mountains. So this is the Great Western Highway, which is the main road and pretty much the only road to get over the mountains. There is one other. And this is the one that they originally took the treks on for the explorers. And I don't quite remember the names of all the explorers, but I know that up here in a little while we're going to come across a tree and it'll tell me the names of the explorers. And on the left of us, you'll see is the train line. This was the main train line that went over the mountains and connected the eastern part of the mountains with the west. When Australia was first settled in the colonial days by the Europeans, as opposed to when it was inhabited originally by the indigenous Aboriginals, the European people had a lot of trouble because they only had the Sydney Basin that they had and they couldn't get over these mountains. And then eventually when the explorers came over the mountains and found that there was all these alluvial plains and great food and pastures and things on the other side, which we're not going to go that far, so you won't get to see them today, maybe another trip. It was a really, really great find for them. But first they had to conquer these mountains, and it was originally just a little goat track. But as I said, it has actually been widened and modernised, so it's now just a normal highway. You'll notice it's another absolutely stunning, glorious day. I should tell you it is approximately the 20th of November. I'm actually not sure what the date is, so I'll have to check.
Yeah, it's 20th.
I got it right, thank you. The 20th of November. And the reason why, as I said probably earlier, was we're going up to the retreat up the Blue Mountains because the Mittagong retreat, which is the best Australian cross-stitch retreat that exists and only started last year, unfortunately couldn't go ahead this year because of COVID. So we have got had the option of changing our venue, so we came a little bit closer for most people. As we go around here, just while look, you might get a view of a bit of the mountains to the right. Just depends on whether the road lets us see. I obviously can't turn you out to the right, but we're right up the top.
It's very pretty.
It is very pretty. I realised you get a one-angle view looking out the front of the car, but I think if I was to move the camera and spin you around, you'd get even more dizzy. So you just get to follow the road. That's the point of the drive with me. Anyway, back to what I was saying, is that the retreat, we were able to cancel our accommodation down in Mittagong, and we have booked out a house up here. So there will be quite a few videos coming from me this week. There's this Stitch and Drive, and then there'll also be a couple of Shady Trees retreat specials where you can see my progress for the week and Jenny's progress, and then also the work of our lovely Shady Trees guests, some of whom you know and some of whom you don't, some of whom are still insisting they don't want to be in the video. So we shall see. We shall see. What happened when you didn't want to be in the video, Michelle?
I ended up in the video.
Yep, and it wasn't nearly as bad as you thought it was going to be, was it?
No.
No. So we'll see if the group persuasion can work its magic. All right, look at that funny old workman's ute on the right there. He's done a lot of work on that one. It's funny though, I just don't think how different we call cars and things. I just, we do things the way we do things.
Yeah.
So it's a high wind area here because it's right at the top of a crest. Shame you can't look out to the right. Stunning view at the right. But hopefully somewhere along the road we'd see. Up on the left, I don't know if you can see in the hills, some traditional old houses. Now they're obscured by the trees. So we're in a little town called Woodford. Lots and lots of little towns along here. And they're all off the main road. But we do eventually drive through a couple. So you'll get to see them. And in particular, it's really cool looking at the old train stations because there are people who live up here and commute all the way to the city every day for work. Well, pre-COVID, I don't know if they do it so much at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's quite a long way to go, but on the train it's quite relaxing, and you just jump on the train. One of our retreat guests, Taryn, is coming via the train, so that's actually where Michelle and I are headed to first, is to the train station to pick her up from there. So you're getting a good look at the Australian scrub, all the different trees. You can see the cuttings that they made to make the road go through, the overhead bridges, and the different types of rocks that are up here. The cuttings are not so much sandstone up here like they are down the Sydney Basin, but much more greyer coloured rock. I am by no way a rock expert. I do not profess to knowing anything really about them. And I find it interesting the number of pine trees that are up here. That seems very uncharacteristic to have the pine trees all the way up here so far from the beach. I'm not quite sure how they got up here. Traffic lights every now and then for people to cross the road to get to the other side, because there are people living on both sides. Because we're going uphill, it's like we can see a sky. Come down a bit. So hopefully the reflection's not too bad today. I did clean the window, so hopefully it's not too dirty. Just get to see there's a couple of really beautiful places along here, which is why we decided we would show you the drive through the Blue Mountains while you're sitting and driving with us today. It's a nice flat road, so it's quite easy to get the stitches done on it. It's not too bumpy. And, yeah, there's a couple of these bends, but they're not too onerous. You get really bad bends coming down the other side on the way down to Lithgow. That's the scary part of the drive, but that'll be for another video. So we're in Hazelbrook. And just another one of the little towns. Nothing too remarkable about Hazelbrook. It's really amazing actually that when you know what's up here, how much civilization is hiding in these hills. The Blue Mountains was most notable about 3 or 4 years ago for having some huge bushfires coming through. And because once they take off, it's all bushland and all the houses are built backing onto the bush. There you are, there's one of the cute old railway stations on the left. Hazelbrook Station that you can see. They've all got the same sort of architecture. Yeah, so there was hundreds of acres of bushland burnt in those fires. There were homes lost. Yeah, it was really, really devastating for the communities up here in the Blue Mountains. And for the first time, we get stopped at traffic lights. Imagine that. It's a pretty new intersection, this one. The big wall built next to us on the left with the railways. So, new bridge, I'd say. With a big mural under it. Oh, you can see how windy it is. Look at those trees going. See, another reason why the bushfires take off so well. There's so much flora to burn, so much fuel, and then the winds whip up the sides of the escarpments. Because we literally are driving along the top of the Blue Mountains now. And the Blue Mountains is a set of hills or mountains that goes all the way from south of Sydney, all the way up, nearly as far as, well, it's where I used to live up near Tamworth, and it created this huge barrier that needed to be crossed. So we're now at Lawson. Now Lawson is one of the explorers. I know that.
Yes.
And he, Lawson, Wentworth, and someone else. So he's one of the explorers that was up here, and he had a town named after him for his efforts in doing the exploration. Lovely old town of Lawson, beautiful some old buildings, and then there's a big phone tower. It's obviously the highest spot to get the reception, so that's pretty cool. Beautiful old buildings coming up on the left. This one I'm going to guess was originally the Lawson Mechanics Institute. Yep, so all the old buildings they used to have. And there we go. That should be a nice view of the little bit of the Lawson town centre. Going along next to the railway line. The gorgeous old pub on the left.
That's pretty.
I imagine it's the Lawson Hotel. I'm looking for a name. Doesn't. Blue Mountains Hotel. There you go. So yes, people would have stopped at lots of those old hotels on their way across the mountains in the old days in their horse and buggies. And these days it only takes about under 2 hours to cross the whole mountains by the road. So we're going, as I said, to Katoomba, which is at the top, but almost getting ready to head down the other side. We've got a school on the left. All of our schools have these big high fences now to keep the students safe, stop them running out and stop other people coming in. We don't tend to have a huge issue with people coming in as a general rule, but in more recent years it has become a little bit more prevalent, so the security is more both ways, and in the current climate, well, it's been added to keep people people out because of COVID. You can't just have random people wandering through the school. Even parents are not welcome at the schools at the moment, which is most frustrating. I find it particularly amusing in one of my schools where I work as a teacher, and I'm also a parent. And whenever they want to talk to me as a parent, I've got to follow the parent rules. But if I'm there as a teacher, I can follow the teacher rules. So whereas I talk to this particular teacher all the time face to face when I'm in there, I get an email this week saying that we'll be having a parent conference via the internet. And it's like, really? Okay, but you see me every week anyway in person. So yeah, it's a bit weird. And I can understand. Everything's for a good reason, and it's really quite easy to see how quickly the COVID cases can take off and spread. And this latest one in South Australia is particularly concerning because it got spread not through person-to-person contact as such, but through person-to-object.
Is that how it started?
Yeah, so a cleaner in a quarantine hotel, well, this is my understanding, actually picked it up from doing the cleaning of the room, not from talking to the person. Yes, so that's a little bit more disturbing to me.
Yes.
Alright, so you can see that the vegetation is thinning out a bit as we get closer to the peak. And you can see the different colours. There's still a lot of trees on the right in particular that have been marked by fire in those couple of years ago. Now on the left you can start to get a little bit of a view of the valley and the mountains. As I said, from the highway we're really not getting the best view of the mountains. I really need to be sticking you out the window looking sideways. It's definitely very breezy. I can hear it on the car now. We're expecting temperatures of 30s up here. And so for it to be that hot up at the top of the mountain, must be pretty stifling down the bottom.
Yeah.
So we're currently going a speed limit of 80 kilometres an hour, and that's a fairly standard speed limit for a country road where there is some sort of habitation. For a high pedestrian area, we're entering into Wentworth Falls. There you go. They've come back to me now. Blaxland, Wentworth and Lawson.
That's it.
I'm just showing my stupidity on these videos that I don't remember things. It's a long time since I learnt them in primary school, I must say. So yes, Blaxland, Wentworth and Lawson were the three explorers. Okay, well, sorry about that. The phone overheated. So it's now back onto the driver's side visor where it likes to sit, and we are going to continue. We're not sure where you dropped off, so we just passed through Wentworth Falls, and I was just remembering Blaxland, Wentworth and Lawson as being the three people who explored and found the crossing across the Blue Mountains. So we're going to continue through now and see what comes up, because we are going to get some beautiful scenic shots very soon, I'm pretty sure. We are now in Leura, and Leura is a beautiful place. People come to Leura for golfing. There's a big Fairmont resort here that's well known for its golfing. It also is quite an upmarket old town. So as we drive past Leura, we may or may not find anything to see. Just wanted to get in front of that car that's in front of us. I prefer having a full road. And apologies if you don't have as good a view as you had last time. But the sun is not really treating my phone very nicely and making it overheat. Alright. but I'm going to stick to the highway because I feel like the scenic drive might be a bit too turny and bumpy. We don't want anyone getting particularly car sick from watching. But remember, you can just stitch, and you know, when I say something that's worth looking at, I will try and tell you. And this is a hilarious new invention. This is a tunnel under the intersection of the roads in Leura. And this is fairly new, I mean, you know, within the last 15 years. But it's just so funny to think that you're driving up the highway in the mountains and then you come under a tunnel. It's only a little tunnel, but it just seems so out of character and out of place. Sun visor is that now I can't really see what you're seeing, so apologies if I'm talking about things that you can't see. Got a lot of yellow flowers on the side of the road. They are a type of noxious weed, and the red trees here are bottlebrush. Bottlebrush is a traditional Australian plant, and it frequently grows very well in the wild, as you can see, and it quite likes colder climates. The Blue Mountains do get snow. Up at Katoomba it does snow up here sometimes in winter, or other random times where it's cold enough to do so. Wow, we are almost at Katoomba. That didn't take long, because coming up just in front of you now is the Alpine Motor Inn, and I stayed there when I was HSC marking, and it had a really nice restaurant next to it, which is no longer there because the restaurant now looks like it's a shed sales shop. So I guess we're not going to go there. So this was heading now into, I think, more the Katoomba area. This is really where we might get to see a few different things. Okay, so you're going to get off the highway now, because we're going to turn into the Katoomba area, and we're actually heading to the railway station, but we might go for a little scenic drive. So on the left is a big hotel. I don't know if you can see that. Right here, this one says to the station, no through road. That's not what we wanted to do then, but that's the way to the station. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, it looks like we're going to the station because that's the road we're in. So you can see up there you've got the big hotel and the old buildings as we do this little loop. And we'll be back here in a little bit, but apparently it's a no through road, so we will there's a policeman, police car, a little pub. So we get back onto the highway. Sit here and wait, so you're just going to be seeing, I imagine, those beautiful trees in front of us. I'm not sure if you can see the flags, but you've got the Australian and the Aboriginal flag flying, and that is very common that Australians have done for the last decade or so as our way of recognising the traditional custodians of the land, the Indigenous, First Nations, Aboriginal people. So we usually, anywhere that we fly the Australian flag, there is usually the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag as well. Torres Strait Islands are a little group of islands up off the northern part of Australia that have an Indigenous culture that aligns with the Aborigines but is a separate culture. And I really do not know anything about the Torres Strait Islanders other than they exist and where they come from, because they are not a large group numerically. But yes, they have their flag usually flown as a set of 3. But in front of us you can just see the 2. I honestly can't tell. There could be a third one there behind that tree. Just waiting for some pedestrians to cross the road, and then we'll be able to get onto the highway and turn into the town centre. Hopefully there's a railway entry from the other side as well, because I don't really want to have to come back over here. We'll find out. turning onto a major highway is always annoying.
Yes.
Right. Now we're sitting waiting for nothing to happen. And there's our green. All that so that we can just turn here. One wrong turn. Very annoying. So we're going to go for a little drive down to the what's called Echo Point and the Three Sisters, and that's actually really near where we're staying.
Yes.
But we're going to take you down there now because we've got 15 minutes up our sleeve, and we'll take you through the scenic part of the Katoomba town centre. This is where everything gets much more claustrophobic as far as roads, because it was originally horse-drawn carts and everything. Yeah, we can get through there. Good. Alright, so you can see all the beautiful old buildings and the train station. And we have a toll truck in front of us, which is delivering parcels. We have lots of different parcel deliveries in Australia. Okay, turning down here, passing the Kingsford Smith Memorial Park. Charles Kingsford Smith is the founder of the Australian airline. The airport in Sydney is named after him, and he's remembered in different places all around the country. So this should give you a little view of the mountains and the mountain way of life. People who live in the Blue Mountains classify themselves as a different type of person. The Blue Mountains men are definitely their own little society and culture, and they are very proudly so. But they have welcomed tourism into their area, and that's what we are currently being. Gingerbread house, that sounds interesting.
That does.
So from memory, down here on the left is where the previous version of the Linen and Threads Needlework shop used to be. They now are on the Central Coast, because when I came here on a cross-stitching journey, we stayed somewhere along here. And the shop was, yeah, that's probably there, I think. No, that's Lost Bear Gallery. Stitching Post, there it is.
Yeah.
So there's the Stitching Post. And where we're staying this time is somewhere down this road as well, is my understanding. But we're going to take you down just to the touristy part, where you'll get to see a little bit of the views, hopefully a bit better. Okay, I think we'll go forward to Echo Point. Oh, I don't know. Oh well, we'll see how we go. I don't know if we want to go to Echo Point to see it, or if we want to go to the other one to see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure either. But anyway, we'll just take you a whole bunch of really old guest houses and big homes up here. I guess when you lived in the Blue Mountains in the olden days, you didn't travel far, and lots of people came to stay. So we'll take you through to Echo Point, where you'll be able to see one of Australia's, or New South Wales' most recognisable natural landforms. Coming up in front of us. Hopefully we'll be able to just drive into the viewing section and give you a good view. This is called Echo Point. So called because when you stand in it and you call out, you actually get to hear your voice as an echo. That's where I want to go, but I don't know how to get there. See, there's a little road around here. I'm not sure. Say no entry, so we must be able to get in somehow. I don't feel like it's what it's meant to be. So I feel like we're going totally the wrong direction now.
Yeah.
I'll just do a U-E when I can. Taking the people on a journey while we're getting lost. Silver Mist Reserve, here we are. We can do a U-E here. Actually, we'll just go up this way because I know this road leads back to where we just were. I remember the name of the road. Finally, a wide street. You'll notice that there's actually got paid parking on this street. Wow, 8 hours paid parking. So that the overflow people can park there. But let's see if I missed an entry, because I don't think we did, but maybe it says no entry buses accepted or something, and we can. Because it's a road and it's got two lanes, it says no entry. Why does it, and then it says keep left, and there's cars in here. Oh, okay, mobility parking. Well, we're going to be in mobility parking for a minute, just for a minute. So this is the information centre and the tourist centre, and here we go. Check out this view, people. Can you see the blue mountains and the lovely view? So I might be able to show you more from when we're actually at our accommodation. Can't see the Three Sisters from here, but it's Echo Point and there's a whole bunch of beautiful. Where is it? Oh, okay. We're very close to it. All right, let's go and find our accommodation. And we can see if the cleaners are still there. All right, so we'll take out our mobility parking. That's our house there. Oh wow, that's it there.
There's one of those two.
It's that one.
Is that?
Yep. So that's our accommodation.
I see.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
really close to it.
Well, that's brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, you
That's where we're staying. Wow. Okay. Well, you can't complain about the venue.
No.
There's a grab and go. There's a restaurant across the road. Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll just go take you down to Scenic World quickly because we can.
One.
Why not? And then we will finish up this Stitch and Drive. Sorry again, don't know how long we've been keeping you for, but hopefully you've been enjoying seeing the sights, the Blue Mountains.
I know I have.
You have. You've been enjoying me teaching you different things.
Yeah. Chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate shop. Ooh. And then yeah, up here's the stitching post. So it'll be a little drive to the stitching post. You might want to walk all this way. Wow, I am so impressed. Our accommodation is definitely in a good location.
It is. Great views for stitching.
Scenic World down here. Now that's an old corner store.
That is.
All right. Now Scenic World is a place that got developed as a tourist attraction, and it has a couple of really fantastic things you can do. You can, you can go on a train that takes you down. It's actually got the steepest incline of any train, and it's at least in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere, if not possibly the world. I'm not quite sure. So let's take this Echo Point that way. But it's really steep, and it also has a cable car that you can go on and it'll take you across the valley. And there's lots of bushwalks you can go on as well. And you can take like a chairlift or something down, and then you can go on a bushwalk. Yeah, look at this old Katoomba Falls kiosk. So there's all these walks around here. Here comes Scenic World. The funniest thing I know about Scenic World though is that they actually had a roller coaster, and they built a roller coaster. And if you jump on YouTube and you type up Blue Mountains roller coaster, you can see some footage of this roller coaster that they built at Scenic World. But they ended up, it never got commissioned for various reasons. And so there's actually bits of the roller coaster track going around, and you can see that in a minute. We're about to turn under it. Can you see this bit of roller coaster? The roller coaster goes over us. There's an old Skyway car. So the roller coaster goes around the car park. It's hilarious, but it never runs. Like, it's not able to be used anymore, but it just drives right around the car park and goes nowhere. And they've taken some bits of it out now because they're not allowed to commission it. Can you see all the gears for the Skyway and the chairlift? So yes, if you're ever in the Blue Mountains, I do thoroughly recommend you come and give Scenic World a go. It is really quite interesting. But yeah, to me the funniest thing is that roller coaster that just goes around the car park to the middle of nowhere. All right. So we have a car in front of us who's sitting, just doing nothing with their indicator on. And I'm really not sure they know what they're doing. Let's see if I can safely go around them. Because he's just sitting there, hogging the middle of the road. Maybe he's stalled. And I think that will pretty much complete our little journey for you today. So I'll be back with you in a minute. I'll show you what we've managed to achieve during the stitch and drive time. Bye. This is a little addition to the video. I've just switched it on to see if we can show you a bit more of the landforms of the Blue Mountains, and you might be able to see a bit of the view. We're on our way home now, so you can see there's storm clouds gathering, and there'll be quite a lot of rain, and we did have quite a few storms and rain while we're here. But I'm just hoping we might get a little bit more of a nice view of the mountains for you coming in this direction as we head down the mountains back towards Sydney. So this one will be a little bit choppy, I think, because I'm going to chop it in and out as I find things that are worthy of you seeing. So I mean, I can see from here the mountains, particularly to the left. As I go around this corner, you should be able to see some if you more to the left of the screen, maybe. I'm going through another cutting, so you can't. And that's spelled C-A-N-T with an apostrophe. Okay, so as we round this corner, hopefully you're going to get a bit of the view of the rest of the mountains. They fall out in front of us because we're right on top of the escarpment. There's lots of trees though, lots and lots and lots of trees. There we go, in front of us now. You can see some of the mountains stretching out in front of you. I mean, these mountains go for a big distance. Hard to tell. On a clear day you can actually see Sydney from the top of the mountains, but I don't like our chances today because of the clouds and the rain. So we're at Falcon Bridge now, going under the big power lines. Back in the olden days they would have not had power lines coming up the mountains. So let's see how we go with this bit of the view on the way down the mountain. There's a few things I want to point out to you just to finish this off. We're currently at a suburb called Warramoo, which is just where our friend Sue lives. But she lives on the other side of the road, so we won't be able to see her house. We did discover where she was. Filming because I'm looking for a particular thing, so we shall see how we go. Everyone's speeding past us. Speed limit apologise. I didn't wash the windscreen before filming the second part. Just noticing how dirty it is after the travel. Could have just done that at the petrol station, couldn't I?
Yep.
Anyway, not to worry. So you're at least getting a good view of all our different utes. Some black utes in front of us. It's a Sunday, so the road is fairly quiet, considering. And then there's a big four-wheel drive Mitsubishi Pajero. Four-wheel drives are becoming more and more popular for people to have. And then we arrive in Blaxland. So as we come to Blaxland, we should, I hope, soon be able to see the edge of the mountain before we go down it. And I'm on the lookout because there is a particular sign that I know Candy would like to see, because all these beautiful eucalyptus trees next to us, they are a place where koalas love to live. So somewhere along here apparently is a sign that tells us to watch out for the koalas. Now, I don't expect we will see a koala at this time of the day crossing the highway.
No.
But we can at least find the sign for you. Just as I say, the traffic's light, we get heavy traffic. It's because we're coming into the town centre with traffic lights. What other interesting things can I tell you about the mountains? Well, we're at the mountains because we were at the stitching retreat, and we had a lovely time at the stitching retreat. And there are 2 videos to watch from that, one which is the normal one and one with some of the guests on it, like we usually do at the Shady Tree stitching retreats. We really had a good time. The house we had a beautiful view and a really nice big light stitching room. The weather was a bit varied, and the actual house itself we weren't happy with, but the location and the stitching space were brilliant. So we won't be going back there, but well, I'm going to keep trying some different places here and there, as well as going to our usual Shady Trees. So you can see big over the head bridge from the pedestrians to get across to the town centre from the railway line. So if you remember, the railway line goes parallel to the highway for most of the time. I guess it's the first time I've stopped in traffic while filming. Bless me. There's some lights down here that are causing it. Bless me. So I've got the task of driving home today. Lucky Michelle gets to stitch.
Yay.
Yay. But she's actually just scrolling Facebook at the moment to see who wins the events from the stitching retreat weekend. And we're very excited to say that we both won one.
Yay.
From the looks of it, just one?
Yeah, but I can't find out the Christmas one.
Okay.
My phone won't let me.
No, your phone is weird. What sort of phone have you got?
Samsung Galaxy A5.
There you go. See, Androids. My iPhone, I'm sure will let me, but not right now because it's filming.
Yeah.
So yeah, all my filming at the moment I do on my iPhone 6S, just in case anyone actually was to ever care. And it's back to sitting on my sun visor. Now, coming up on the left is the only fast food restaurant on the mountains. And that's because it's right on the edge of the mountain. There is a McDonald's at Blaxland. The only one. So now we're starting our descent down the mountain. So you're going to get to see what going down the mountain looks like as we head into the Sydney Basin. And we'll see whether we feel like doing anything more of the journey a bit later for you. But it's a good way for you to sit and do some stitching and then look up from time to time and check out what the landscape is like in Australia. And as I said last video, my hope is to actually do more of these across different parts. Limited a bit at the moment by COVID, although I believe that some of our borders are opening back up between states. But you guys have no chance to come and visit us at the moment. No chance whatsoever. Section. I'm still not seeing this sign that we're looking out for. The trees around here are definitely looking very koala-y. The cicadas are still chirping. We're in Glenbrook, which is I think the last suburb before we go down the mountain. We're hitting some traffic, so I'm hoping that that's because there's another set of traffic lights and not some big congestion on the highway. Yep. So in front of us is a Ford Ranger, and before recent times when Ford actually closed their factories, we used to have big competitions between whether you were a Holden car driver or a Ford car driver. And a Ford Ranger was a very, very popular type of Ford to have that, and a little Ford Focus. And Australians were pretty much divided whether you were a Ford or a Holden man. What are your family, Michelle?
Well, Ford except for my brother.
Yeah, we were Ford as well. We were never Holdens. But now we're a bit of everything, so. Northern Road, Penrith Leys. I still feel like this is the little pocket that's meant to be the koala zone. Be aware. Koalas ahead. There you are, Candy. Be aware, koalas ahead. So we have found your sign. So this area around here is a koala habitation. And if you find a koala on the edge of the road, you need to call Wires, which is an Animal Rescue Association place. So they must come out and try and cross the highway from time to time to have that sign there. This part of the video is brought to you by Candy's obsession with koalas. Passing an RAAF base, which is the Royal Australian Air Force, up here on the mountain, and the rest of the Air Force is actually based in Richmond, which is at the base of the mountain. So I'm not sure why they have one up the mountain as well as down the mountain, but I guess they have some logistical reason. We're 160 metres above sea level. I do not know how many feet that is, but that's where we're at the moment. Okay, so I did some more work on this during the retreat as well as on the trip up and back, but this is where I have got up to. So I've nearly finished the Sydney block, which is pretty exciting. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching this video and you got a lot of stitching done while you were watching and listening. And if you're enjoying it, please comment below so we know you want us to keep making them. And apart from that, have an awesome week stitching. Bye!